There's going to be a lot of times in a sales conversation where you're like, you know what? You're thinking in your head, man, that's like a concern, right? Oh, they might be broke. Oh, sounds like their decision maker needs to be on the call. Sounds like they just don't have the time to actually do this. You need to address concerns as they come up in the discovery. You need to face those head on. You do it in the right way, right? You always act like you're on the side of the prospect. But look, if you get the sense that they don't have any time, you want to ask about time. Here's the common mistakes that I see a lot in the discovery process. You want to avoid these at all costs because they have no business in the discovery. All right. So number one is a lot of reps just talk way too much. All right. So if you remember when we're in the discovery, talking is never a point on the discovery, right? All we're doing is we ask, we elaborate, and we restate. That is all we are doing. And that's how you're going to keep the discovery portion really tight and how we keep tight rapport. Okay. What the amateur sales reps do is they talk too much and then they go off of a script that has nothing to do with what the prospect just said, right? So the prospect just tells you X, Y, and Z. You just go on to a scripted question that has nothing to do with what the prospect just told you. If you're asking questions that have nothing to do with what the prospect just told you, that's how you kill rapport. That's how you kill connection. That's how you kill a sales call. Number two is they don't ask the uncomfortable questions. Listen, guys, in sales, you got to find the pain. You got to figure out what's going on. You got to really diagnose this person to see if you can help them and where they're at right now. Like, what is the current problems they're dealing with? And so as a professional, as a great sales rep, you got to be able to ask the uncomfortable questions. And the way that you're going to be able to do this is by having a curiosity frame. Okay. So when I'm asking Bob an uncomfortable question of like, hey, Bob, how does it feel? Like if I were to ask him, like, if you were to tell me, hey, you know what? Like right now, I just can't support my family. It's been really hard, X, Y, Z. If I were to be like, hey, Bob, just so I have some clarity, how does it feel right now not being able to support your family the way that you want to, right? If I were to ask that question, did you see how I asked it? Number one, right? I did a safety frame and I didn't teach you guys safety frames, but a safety frame, and this is more of an advanced strategy, guys, but a safety frame is basically giving a person a reason on why you're asking the question. So instead of just saying, hey, Bob, how does it feel to not be able to support your family? I put a safety frame around it and I'll be like, hey, Bob, just so I have some more clarity on what you said earlier, how does it feel to not be able to support your family right now the way that you want to? That's an uncomfortable question to ask, guys, but make no mistake about it. If you get information from the prospect, like they're really upset at themselves that they can't do that, that's a question that you need to ask, okay? And the way you're going to ask it is by having a curiosity frame. I'm curious. I'm really curious, right? Just tell yourself, I'm really curious on what Bob's going to say about this, okay? And those uncomfortable questions get better information. Better information leads to better closes. And then they don't address concerns. There's going to be a lot of times in a sales conversation where you're like, you know what? You're thinking in your head, man, that's like a concern, right? Oh, they might be broke. Oh, sounds like their decision maker needs to be on the call. Sounds like they just don't have the time to actually do this. And then you just let that stuff slide and you don't address it and you just keep going on with the conversation like nothing's happening. Guys, listen. You need to address concerns as they come up in the discovery. You need to face those head on. You do it in the right way, right? You always act like you're on the side of the prospect. But look, if you get the sense that they don't have any time, you want to ask about time. Hey, Mary, you know what? Just so I can best support you right now, it sounds like you're really busy. And I don't know, do you believe they even have the time and effort and energy to put into building an online business, to growing your business, to losing the weight, to XYZ? You need to get them to confirm to you that that's what they need and that's what they have. All right. So you don't address concerns. You must address concerns. Number 4, guys, is you let the prospect take control. So make no mistake about this, guys. Like the prospect has control if they're asking you questions. Whoever's asking questions in a conversation has control of the conversation. So what you want to do as a closer is you want to maintain control, which means you want to ask the questions. And if you're not asking the questions, that means the prospect has control. And a great framework that you can use is ARP. Okay? It's called ARP. Acknowledge, respond, pivot. So if a prospect starts asking you questions and you want to take back control. Let's just say he says, well, yeah, I don't know, like, how long does this stuff all take, right, to get the results that I want? I'm like, hey, Bob, you know what? That's a great question. Bob, sounds like you want to know exactly how long this is going to take. You know what? I'm actually going to dive right into that, Bob, as we kind of move through this section. Hey, I'd love to know X, Y, and Z. Did you see what I just did there, guys? I acknowledged what Bob said. I responded to what Bob said, and then I pivoted to what I want to talk about. That's how you regain control of a conversation. You need control. And then they don't follow the framework. Listen, guys, I just gave you the framework for the discovery, okay? You go into pain, you go into vision, all right? But you don't flip-flop from both. You don't go into like pain and then vision and back to pain and then back to vision and then get them flip-flopped. You follow the framework, and if you follow the framework and the process is what produces the results. So the amateurs don't follow it. You need to follow that process, all right? And then they pitch way too soon. So what this means is, like, a lot of amateur salespeople, they'll do a really, really short discovery, right? Your discovery process typically is about 15 to 30 minutes long, depending on what you're selling, depending on your price points. But 15 to 30 minutes is generally the sweet spot. And if you're before 15 minutes, guys, more than likely, you're providing a solution way too soon. You haven't fully diagnosed the prospect. You haven't fully qualified the prospect. And remember, your job in the discovery is to qualify the prospect, to make sure they're a good fit for your product and service. If you're pitching way too soon, more than likely what's going on is you're getting uncomfortable. You want to get the call over with. You're not tuned in with the prospect. And then you're going to pitch, and then you're going to be like, I need to think about it. And it's never a good idea, guys. All right. Make sure you follow the process. And if you follow the process, you will avoid pitching way too soon. All right, guys, those are the most common mistakes I see. Look, we've taken thousands and thousands and thousands of sales calls, guys. This is the way that we break it down.